Yellow.
Ahoy to the hoy to the hoy.
What's up?
What's up?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
So, are you ready to start this thing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so here we go. Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I am joined by the ever-so-popular...
I wonder who that is. I mean, honestly. But you are joined by at least James Wallacart. But whoever this really popular person is, man.
It's me.
Can't wait to meet him.
Me. Because I'm the one who only does anything on this channel anymore. No!
Listen. Perhaps. However, so I just want to say, on a more serious note, though, condolences to the Robin Williams friends and family.
Yes.
Yes, severe condolences. I mean, to be honest, celebrity deaths, they've happened in my lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. But this one is
a few.
This one is the first one to have stunned me, because I don't know about you, but my childhood was dominated by watching Miss Doubtfire and Aladdin. A lot.
Yep.
And
Hook.
And Hook, of course, a lot. And I was absolutely shocked when like, I've never been affected by that, by a celebrity death before, and I was like, wow. And I have to say, if you don't know who Robin Williams is, and I say this because I met a few people who asked me who is that in a serious face, and being completely genuinely serious, it's not a generation gap, you are just sheltered.
Uh-huh.
Because he's done everything.
Apparently now there's a petition out to try and get Nintendo to make him a NPC in a Zelda game now.
Oh, all right.
Because he named his daughter Zelda.
Right, but it's just like a little late.
It's something. That's definitely sure. I am very saddened by his loss. It is a very sad loss.
Yes.
But what happened is something that I kind of look down on.
I hear you, but I mean, not to dwell on the subject, but
yes,
he's somebody who has battled throughout his life depression, and then he's resorted to drugs and stuff, and he's battled that, but he's always had this depression problem that some experts, quote-unquote, of this stuff is surprised he's lasted this long because of how severe his depression is. So I'm not giving it a pass. I agree with what you're saying, but sometimes you're not at the wheel of yourself in such deep depression. It's
one of these things, just in case, it's not one of these things where I'm like, I totally don't care, like, I super care, but at the back of my mind, there's just, like, that one tiny piece, that little tiny piece that's just, like... But in general, I was saddened by the loss, actually. I'm looking to see how many Robin Williams films I actually own to see if I can do a week of just watching Robin Williams films.
And he's done a lot throughout the spectrum. Like, he's not just your comedy guy or your voice guy. I thought he was great in 1 Hour Photo.
He was amazing in 1 Hour Photo. Apparently, the Evangelion scene, he insisted that scene was in there because he likes Evangelion.
He was a cool dude. I mean, Night at the Museum, when I first saw the first one, I went, all right, it looks like a funny concept, I'll watch it. And then I'm like, Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt, I'm sold.
This is probably the first time that I'll go see a film, even though I have no interest in it, but just because of the passing of the actor. Like, I wasn't planning on seeing the third Night of the Museum, but I might just because it's like the last time I'll see Robin in a new role. Exactly,
and it's just, like, I remember with the first one, I was like, man, he actually makes a good Teddy Roosevelt.
He does. He made a very good Teddy Roosevelt.
So, he's done a lot throughout, stand-up, movies, primate conservation, all of that's the good stuff, and he's also was a very kind person and, family man and everything, so. And
to be perfectly honest, I don't get why everyone hates What Dreams May Come.
I don't know either.
I like that movie. That was a good movie. But every time I talk about it, everyone's like, that's a terrible movie. I'm like, it's awesome.
So, yeah, I just wanted to put that. I felt it important to bring it up because of my childhood. And also, how could you not know who Robin Williams is? I had two people say, like, who's that guy? And I went, you're joking, right? And they're like, no. I'm like, you're joking, right?
And so, from all of us here at Fearless Games, our hearts and prayers go out to the Williams family in their time of grieving, and we hope that in some way that some silver lining comes out of this, and they can get on with their lives in a sooner venue than needed.
Exactly. And seriously, if you don't know who Robin Williams is, you owe it to yourself to check out some of his work, because he was a cool dude.
If at the very least, watch something like Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook, or even stuff like 1 Hour Photo, Dead Poets Society, Good Morning Vietnam, his stand-up. I've yet to see Weapons of My Own Destruction. That his last stand-up.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one either. But
and to anyone who is interested, also fun fact, it is widely believed that he was a very big fan of the Orcs.
Yeah, it's like a rumor, but
it's a rumor that he plays Eldar and that he played Eldar in Orcs.
It's a rumor, and I choose to accept it because it
sounds like him.
It does sound like him. So,
I could see him playing Orcs.
Yeah, I could too, and I could see him doing very well with that. But anyways,
speaking of other things going on, it's apparently this has been around for a while, but I just found out about it. But Matt Ward is no longer part of Games Workshop.
Right.
He is now going off to do his own writing series, continuing apparently a series of books he's been working on called Shadow of the Raven.
Okay.
I
don't know anything about the series, so...
Yes, I don't know anything about it. I just found out about this whole thing. Apparently he left back in May. And apparently he also had a pen name called Robert Charles. I don't know if that name ever popped up in a codex or not.
Probably not. Just from the...
Probably not.
But just my guess, I don't think pen names pop up and stuff like that.
And last I heard, not sure, don't quote me on this, but I heard that one of the last works he did for GW was the Space Marine Codex.
I don't know if that's the last, but...
Well... That, I think, was, from what I think that was the last one he did before he quit.
What do you mean, did?
He worked on part of it, supposedly.
Okay, because I'm just trying to confirm it, and his name does not pop up on this codex.
Does it actually have a name, or does it say writing team?
It says written by Robin Crutis.
Robin Crutis, okay, so then I was wrong.
But, I mean, maybe he had a hand in, helping design it,
He might have.
Other stuff, or something with it, who knows. But, now, that brings up a question I have that I just popped in my head. What is your thought on having, essentially hired guns doing stuff like this? Because when you think about it, they're not really... I don't know if they're actually were at the time considered, full-on GW staff, especially considering they have their own projects they work on, their own novels and whatnot. So what's your thought on this mentality of, not mentality, but this almost concept of hired gunness doing stuff like this?
Well, to be for my personal honesty with that, I think that a lot of their projects were pseudo side projects at the least, they were working for GW, but when there wasn't a codex needed, they did their own stuff.
Right.
Because a lot of them get counted as founders, Gav Throat gets counted as one of the founders of GW, yet mostly he did was the writing.
Right, but
I think that hiring a dude specifically, I assume your question is what's my thoughts of them specifically hiring just a dude to write the codex?
Well, not so much the codex, because, to be honest, I'm not 100% certain on what their impact is rules-wise, because GW does have
from my understanding, again, I could be wrong, but this is from my understanding, from what I've read in all this. I'm just going to use Matt Ward as an example because we just brought him up. Matt Ward writes the fluff. He then, this story, their beliefs, their gear. Someone takes that fluff and then writes rules for it. That author can then come in and go, actually, the Blood Angels really succumb to the Black Rage a lot, so this unit should have the Rage rule, I think. And then the rule guy goes, noted, I will think about it.
Right.
So they write the fluff, and then they give their input when the rules are being written.
Right. It's just I've always thought about that a little bit, and Matt Ward wrote the 5th edition Space Marine Codex.
That's right. That's what it is. And he wrote the Grey Knights and the Necrons.
Right. But, and specifically when it comes to fluff, I've always, obviously, if you want somebody who, let's just take Graham McNeil as an author, right?
Yes.
He does some Black Library stuff, which is basically, that's your fluff. You have your codex and you have your novels, that's the fluff of the universe. You have that. He's not, he's a writer, and he's going to do what I think he does good jobs with the work there. And then you have but he doesn't write everything. And you have like a team almost of writers, it looks like, writing different things. And a good example of that is the Horus Heresy novel series. There's like at least half a dozen writers, if not more so, because that series is way too long. But especially I think there was a different writer for like the first 4 books, if I'm not mistaken. The first 4 books were 4 different people. And the thing that I found interesting about that was the first 4 books link up very strongly together. Like book 1 is the build-up, and then book 2 builds off of that, and book 3 built off of that, and book 4 built off of that. And then book 5 was like, hey, see ya, peace, and then they go along and they did other stuff. But when you look at it, it was 4 different authors. So do you think there's a potential... do you think there's a potential case of a situation arising from having that?
I think the only time there would be any form of situational issues with that is if the authors don't communicate with each other. Right. And from reading the backs of a lot of these books, there's always at least 1 or 2 other authors who have written a book before them that they went to advice for when writing their story. When we were, when I was reading Battle of the Fang, I think the guy gives credit to the 2 guys that wrote Thousand Suns and Prospero Burns when writing Battle of the Fang.
Right.
So I think in this situation, the way they're doing it, I don't think there's a chance for major issues because a lot of the authors aren't communicating with each other.
Yeah.
I feel that if that was very much a write this story, well, did Ted say no? Write the story yourself. Ted, get over there, don't talk to him. Then I think there would be a problem.
Yeah, and clearly this examples with 40K works, but I imagine, it's for anything. Like if there was let's say War Machine novel series or horrors or whatever.
Which there are some.
Yeah, but if there was something like that where you have okay, I'm just counting different names here. The first 4 books are 4 different names. Then you have a 5th name here. It looks like a 7th name. There's a lot of people. And by the way, here's my little thing, kind of little jab at Black Library for the Horus Heresy series. We're at book 30.
Yep.
Book 30, and it started in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
That's 8 years. You know where we are at book 30? You know where we are?
We haven't even hit halfway.
No, but all right. Let me put it to you this way. Book 5, Fulgrim, goes through the time period of Fulgrim's fall, basically, and it ends up on...
when he gets possessed by the demon.
Like the very first beginnings of it, when he first picked up the Larian blade or whatever and everything. And it goes all the way to when he, as we know in the fluff, kills Ferrus Manus at the Drop Site Massacre.
Yes.
So book 5 is basically the Drop Site Massacre.
Which is like one of the very first battles. Yeah,
that's like Isstvan 3 is when when a lot of the Traitor Legions call their ranks of loyalists, and Isstvan 5, the Drop Site Massacre, is the first real battle where the full traitors were announced. The ones that we didn't know plus the 4 that we knew. So that's book 5. We're all the way at book 30, and what book 30 is about survivors from the Raven Guard, the Iron Hands, and I think some Salamanders who end up on a planet called Pythos after escaping Isstvan 5. I don't know. It can't be decades after, because I think the whole heresy takes place in a decade or so. So
not even. I don't even think
the official timeline. I think is a decade, and or somewhere around a decade. So we're book 30, and we just got off. We just officially are stepping away from Isstvan 5. Now, keep in mind, from book 5 through book 30, we've been back and forth. Angel Exterminatus is post Drop Site Massacre.
Yep, Angel Exterminatus is when Fulgrim goes crazy.
And when he goes crazy like that. But that takes place sometime after the Drowside Massacre. So it's like forward, progress, ahoy, and then we end up at book 30 where we're like, we've been here, 7 years ago. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think it's nice, and of course you got to account for filling in people. Like what happened to the survivors of the Drowside Massacre? Makes a good story content. What happened to certain legions that weren't present there? Like the Dark Angels, for example, would never a Drowside Massacre, and they never made it to Terra till after everything happened. But they were still dealing with Night Lords, and they went over that. And you got to go over all the 18 legions. I understand this, but 8 years on, book 30, and we're nowhere near sieging Terra. Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
I think part of that may be there are some characters in there that I think some people just don't want to be the first one to write a story on.
Yeah, but we've had dialogue with the Emperor in some of these books. We've had Malcador talking about stuff, and we like all the big players have been touched. It's just that I also think I don't know how well these series is doing, but I think it's the Horus Heresy. It's I'm not going to say it prints money because that implies it's doing really really well, but it's got to be some type of lucrative crop for them to keep this thing going. But I stopped at Angel Exterminatus. I own Betrayer. I just haven't gotten around to reading it because I just it's not that I stopped caring, but I'm just like, this is too much. We're nowhere near.
That's why I've been just jumping between book, and only reading in sequence if I absolutely have to. Like when I was reading the Thousand Suns books, I only read them as Thousand Suns, Prospero Burns, and Battle of Fang because I knew that was the order they were supposed to be in.
Exactly, and that's the only thing really has to do. Basically, the first 4 books, Horus Rising through Fly the Eisenstein, those have to be read in order. Descent of Angels has to be read before Fallen Angels. Yeah. Thousand Suns before Prospero Burns. But after that, there really isn't too much that links directly together. But still, and I don't know. It's just I read through it because I actually started reading this series when not long after it first came out, back in 2006. Yes. So I'm like, all right, it's not so much that I read them in order from now. It was just
I'm gonna read them all.
It's just that I read them, and then next book comes out, I'll read it, and then I got away to book 23, and at book 15 I was like, we got a problem. We're nowhere near anything, and then book 23 I was like, you know what, I'm done.
You broke them. You broke the wildness out of you.
It's just I was done because. The big problem the series has, and admittedly, I enjoy the series. I enjoy the Horus Heresy. The big problem it has is a lot of recap. Even when it's a completely new story, it's a lot of all right, we're gonna tackle the White Scars, right? Yeah. At this certain time period, but we gotta quickly recap what led up to this, which basically means if it's post Drowside Massacre, we're gonna recap the Drowside Massacre. We gotta recap why the White Scars may hate a particular legion a lot. By some type of rivalry they had with a traitor legion. So we got to recap things. And we got to then bounce around the timeline, which can get kind of confusing when you're reading the book, especially when it's in a novel that jumps back and forth kind of seamlessly. It can get kind of confusing. It's like, where are we in the timeline? So that's the big problem with the series. And as you go on, it's really only going to get worse, in a sense, in terms of jumping around. And that's not the big problem. It's the recap. Because, for example, Mechanicum was a really good book. I just recommend reading it.
It was a good book.
But that was the war that came to Mars, with the Mars Schism. The only book to really cover that. You know what's going to happen. Once we enter the Sol system, there's going to be a big recap of the Mechanicum. So it's a problem. But what you going to do? Indeed. That's why I like the Forge World books better, because we're 3 books in, and we have 12 of the 18 legions covered.
Yep. So speaking of that, remember how last time we were talking about, the possibility of maybe BFG coming back through Forge World to reenact some of the more famous space battles? Yeah. With it. I was thinking back then. And one thing I was thinking that would be really cool if, and this is a very big if they did that, is getting models for the Primarch's flagships.
That would be cool, because their flagships are definitely different looking.
Yep. So some of them, though, are a little silly, because, like, I think the Blood Angels one, I think Sanguinius's is just a giant Blood Angel symbol.
Not necessarily. I was looking, actually, at well, it depends on how they want to interpret certain things, but the Collected Visions art book that I own actually has a lot of the flagships pictured, because they were things, and it looks like a Gothic ship. It doesn't look like the Blood Angel symbol.
Okay, because in Fear to Tread, the way they were describing it, it made me sound like it sounded like I was picturing just the giant Blood Angel symbol,
right,
floating through space.
You know, it's not quite like that. It has these flagships have a gigantic symbol of the Legion on them. Yeah, but that's about that.
But that, I think, would be super cool, is, get 18 battleships, each representing all 18 Primarchs flagships. Would be just freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah, that definitely would be cool. You have,
especially since, like, I think, because, there was a couple of major battles where there was a major space battle on top of the ground battle, like when the line defeated the Nightbringer. When that was it all started
the Night Lord guy, not
the Night Lord. Yeah, Night Hunter. Sorry,
Night Hunter. Yeah, that guy. Not the Nightbringer. That's
yes, totally different. Like, it started with the entire Dark Angels fleet just like teleporting right next to them and started orbital bombardment cannoning them all to death. Yeah, no, I mean there are a few, but. And it would be interesting, but, like, really, it's the Drop Site Massacre that had a naval battle over it. It's the Imperial Fist versus Iron Warriors naval battle that happened, and then it's, like, Siege of Terror. Those are really the big naval battles that... Yeah. I don't want to say that mattered, because clearly in a war all the battles matter, but in terms of story, the ones that matter the most. But, again, as we're going off of... This is just something I read on one of the blogs. They said they have no intention of doing BFG right now or ever, but they're saying they're open to the idea. So maybe if they're sitting there going, oh crap, we don't have anything to make the next series of Horus Heresy books, maybe they'll make one novel dedicated to space battle. Who knows? Maybe, but you never know. Expect it to be one of these things where it's like, expect it to be one of those things where, like, what do you want to do? I don't know. And then the guy who's in the restroom just goes, just do a BFG supplement. That's how this is going to happen if it happens. Right. But jumping a little bit of ahead, there's something that I'm very interested in coming out, the Officio Assassinorum. Yeah, it's coming back with a vengeance, because there was a that a while ago. Back in 3rd Ed, at least, that was when anyone but the Dark Angels, because they didn't like the Assassins, could play Assassins in any book. You just got this little mini codex, you pick the Assassin you want, and there you go. Yeah, that was also back when the Assassins, while kind of cool, were still lackluster. Yes. They were they were very specialized. Like, really, the only assassin that ever was really worth its weight in taking was the Vindicare for the longest time. The Calidus Assassin and the Colexus Assassin were pretty decent. The Eviscerator was kind of meh. Oh, not Eviscerator, I know what you're talking about. The Eversor. The Eversor was cool in 3rd. Then after the editions came out, he kind of got lackluster because it was really hard to get him to grips with the foe before blowing up. Yeah. But, like, the Calidus Assassin, I remember wrecking house on half my army once when I played against them. The Calidus Assassin was situational, but then it just became terrible before they got updated. Yeah. The Colexus was super situational, and again, became terrible. If you were playing against Eldar, why were you feeling him? But, like, the Vindicare was always the top of the 4, because he was always the most useful in any situation. And he only got better when they finally... Because they were all old. They were all aging rules. I honestly hope that I really want them to do resculpts of these, because I don't like the Vindicare. I like the special edition one that the Stark Lord has.
I like the Vindicare. It's just they are old. They need a resculpt.
Yeah.
All of them need a resculpt.
Yes, like I said, the only real one, I love the Vindicare special edition because he actually was aiming with the rifle. This one, it just looks like he's trying to do his best Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation,
which is always a good thing.
But I just think it was it looks too staticky. I like the more action pose.
I mean, the posing needs work, but the model itself, I like the look of what his war gear and everything.
The war gear looks phenomenal. It's the posing.
Yeah, but they're old models. It's just like, for example, Kaivan Shrike, he needs a new model. Because it doesn't look bad. It's not the posing bad. It's just you can tell it's an aged model. You can tell it's older.
Yep.
So
it's covered in depth, including data sheets for fielding Kaliskars and Eviscerators in your armies, as well as rules for their exotic weapons, war gear, preferred methods of murder. There was a rule that I heard of, and I hope it's true, but I doubt it, that this data slate will provide us with rules for doing a kill team of assassins.
Maybe, but,
Which I think would be really cool, especially in a Blood in the Void type of mission, where it's just them hunting down their target.
It would be cool to have official stuff for us, or just easier, but when it comes down to it, all you gotta do is say, hey, let's do
Unbound.
Let's do this. No, not even Unbound. Just, hey, let's make a specialist game here where we're gonna be like, okay, you fielding the assassins, X amount, kill things. Hooray! I've always liked the Eversor, though, because the Eversor, in terms of assassins, I mean, the Vindicator's always been my favorite. The Calexis is a cool concept, but I never really liked the head helmet apparatus they wore. They're always like, are you trying to be pseudo-alien like the movie Alien? It's not working for me. But the Calidus was an interesting concept. It was just kind of lackluster for me. It's like, oh, shapeshifter, whatever, type of deal, through chemicals and stuff like that. It's cool, but it really doesn't lend itself well to a model because you can't represent shapeshifting without it looking stupid in a model, It's like, why has that person got a claw hand and a regular, it just looks weird, but or it looks like he's a mutant, and then problem. But the Eversor, I've always liked the look of, because he looks like I'm going to kill everything, and I've always liked the fluff of him. His rules always needed help, but I've always liked the fluff because I like the idea of the Eversor assassin because they are literally a cocktail of chemicals and drugs and everything, which is why they explode. But when they get killed, but when they're not fighting, they have to be in stasis.
Yeah.
If they're not in stasis, they're killing everything, even stuff you don't want them to kill, because they got they're programmed to kill.
What's great is every time they were played, when the Stark had one out, he'd be like, oh man, that thing's going to rip you apart, that thing's going to rip you apart, you don't want to get into close combat with it. I'm like, okay, close combat ahoy, and he goes, ha-ha, I killed one of you. Okay, and then everyone proceeds to murder him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just bad rolling, but the Eversor Assassin used to be the whole kill everything.
Yes. From my experience, the Eversor right now is very Harlequin-y. If he doesn't kill it all in the first turn, holy crap, how'd you do that? And goodbye. Yeah,
because he's going to die. But when he dies, he goes poof and maybe takes some with him.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so that will be interesting. Now,
I'm excited for that.
Yes. Off of that, Grey Knights, really quick on the heels of the Space Wolves, which is, I thought, odd. I thought, why not wait till the second wave came out and then the Grey Knights?
Which makes me think that this is more of an update than a full-on new codex.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's basically... think about it in terms of the codices, though. Nothing is really good. Everything's an update. At this point, you can't remake Space Wolves or Space Marines.
I meant not much is going to change. It's just, correcting things for 7th Ed and just removing the two factions that are no longer part of it.
I don't know. We'll see. It looks like I do think it's going to be more. I do think it's new codex, new codex material, and like other codices have come and gone. I do think it's going to be along that limelight. The only thing I hope for is Terminators the ability to still fill a Terminator army easily enough without going unbound. I hope that Terminators are troops still. Because
with Drago and his warp dust.
Yes, But I've always liked the Grey Knights. Like I said, they in the previous one, like what their dedication and the fluff around them has always been very cool. And the fact that their gene seed is from the Emperor himself. That there wins the bragging right competition of Space Marine chapters. It's like, oh, who's your Primarch? Oh, that's cute. Ours is the Emperor. It's like, oh, I wish ours was the Emperor. It's like, oh,
they're just jerks.
It's like, oh, you got Rogel Dorn's gene seed in you? That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Ours
Dorn's a wuss.
It's like ours, you got the lion. That's nice. You got Lehman Russ. That's adorable. Ours is the Emperor. That's who our parent is. That's who our genetic parent actually is.
Lehman Russ. That's adorable.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you got Korax. That's nice. It's just that we come from the source, the Emperor. So drink it up. Drink it all in. Drink it all in.
You're starting to sound like how me and Matt were going to be if your Death Watch game continued. What's that? I'm sorry, I can't hear you in my Terminator armor.
But like, I mean,
oh, slow down, guys! I can't keep up because my Terminator armor is so slow, but it's so powerful.
But no, I just like the fluff of that much, and I was thinking, I was expecting it to come like a week later than when it's coming. You know what I mean? I would have given it another week, but that's interesting. However, I don't know how true this is, and this has nothing to do with 40K, but this picture looks pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen it, so I'll post a link to it. It's apparently
I've seen everything.
Apparently, I don't know if it's a rumor or not that this might be what the new Trooper helmets look like for Episode 7.
Yes, that is supposedly what they're going to look like.
I like it. I mean, the asymmetrical thing is cool. There is something that was pointed out, and it's not so much the asymmetrical, it's more like the gapping of the gaps are not even on both sides, which may be intentional, but at the same time, it is also kind of weird that it would be that way. But it's
an interesting look.
I like the look overall. I really do like it. I think it's a nice evolution of the Stormtrooper helmet. Plus, hey, technology today makes it easier to make cool looking things.
Yep. It's interesting. I'm just curious as to, is this supposed to be New Republic troopers or what the dealio is?
I don't know. I have no idea, but I like it, and
I do indeed like it.
I also like the fact that it's an actual prop.
Yeah.
Well,
supposedly, there's, a video of, there's a video that keeps floating around because they use it for everything now, practically.
Yeah.
And it's, J.J. Abrams sitting on set, and this alien walks by him. And it clearly was an alien that you could have used CG and it would have cost you a lot less and easier to do, but it's clearly a puppet, to show that not all the aliens are going to be CG.
Yeah, and we saw actual props for different fighters and stuff like that.
Yep, one of the upgraded X-wing versions.
Yeah, but
and stuff like that.
I just like the fact that hey, this is actual propage that people are going to wear whatever trooper armor, which also means for anybody wanting to make their own trooper armor for this new Episode 7 stuff, it's probably going to be a bit easier because it's just in terms of. It's made. It's not a CG thing. Like when they were trying to do the original Clone Troopers.
Clone Wars.
It's that's all CG. How are we gonna make this?
Say what?
So
we don't have no props.
Yeah. So I like that. I'm always a fan of practical effects whenever possible.
Oh, practical effects are awesome. That's why I'm super excited because supposedly, rumor has it is that Disney is right now in the midst of creating a Blu-ray edition of the original trilogy without the special editions.
I heard that, and I'll believe it when I can pre-order it. That's all I gotta say. I'm not gonna get my hopes up because I've been waiting for this forever.
I'm really hoping, and it wouldn't be too difficult because they still have the laser discs, and laser discs were fairly high quality already. And so for the bits that they can't use the original negative on, they could just splice in the laser discs.
And I want to be clear. It's not like I haven't been waiting for this for so long because I hate what is currently out to buy. I've watched it. I have no problem with it, watching it, Yes.
I have no problem.
Yes,
There's just
Han shoots first stuff.
There's just a couple of things where I'm just like, oh, why?
It doesn't even bother me as a big Star Wars fan. I watch it and I understand what's been added and stuff like that. For me, it's on the same principle as, yeah, I could play a ROM of original Mario Brothers, but there's something with the original, you know?
Yeah.
There's something about originals that are just are fun to watch.
It's, in my case with it, it's less like, I don't mind when they add the CG aliens or the extra scenes. It's some of the audio tweaks that I don't think were necessary. Like, I didn't think it was necessary to change the Crate Dragon stream. I think the original one sounds better. I didn't think it was... I'm glad they took it out. I thought it was stupid when they threw in the Emperor scream when Luke fell down the shaft in Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. It's more some of the audio tweaks where I'm just like, why? Like, when in A New Hope, why did Leia's gun now sound like a Colt 45?
Yeah. But, like, no, I get what you're saying. There's certain things, but, like, it's not like, unwatchable, unsubscribing from Star Wars' YouTube channel. It's more...
Oh, yeah, no. I'll watch it. I'll just sit there going, why?
Like, I'll watch
While
it,
I watch it.
And I don't even cringe with any of it. Even when Han doesn't shoot first, it's not like, why?
That doesn't bother me.
It's just like, all right, it was just not done well at all. But it was, I remember growing up on TV watching the original, and it's just, you know, I want to see the rawness of it. You know what I mean?
If you want to see what we originally saw.
Yeah. It's just I want to have it on record.
Yeah. Going, this is how it was, and this is the one I grew up with.
Right. It's just...
And it's just nice to have more reasons to buy copies of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's really weird when you think about it. It really is. I just want to buy more Star Wars stuff. That's what it comes down to.
I owned like 4 or 5 different copies of the original trilogy. And like 3 copies of the prequels.
You know, I've tried for the longest time, and I can't wrap my head around why. Why Star Wars? You know, like how and the why of Star Wars being what it is. I couldn't explain. If somebody asked me why you're such a big fan of it, I don't know.
My only concern right now is from the original story that I heard. I'm getting concerned that eventually I'll just get tired of Star Wars and stop caring about the new films, because supposedly they want to like produce a new one every 3 years. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like just like almost like Turtles in a sense, just where it's like, another one, you know. Like, that's my only concern, is that Disney's just going to overplay it too much to the point where I don't care anymore.
I could see that being a concern, but to be honest, like, with Episode 7...
If it's good, then hell yeah, I'm going to watch it till the cows come home.
Yeah, but I mean, it's even like, if it's good, whatever, or like how many they're going to produce, it's, I'm not following episodes. Like, I never followed any of the episodes when they've come out. Like, I just watch them and I enjoy them. So for me, I don't know. It would be hard for them to get me bored of it. Like, if anything, I feel there's been too long with Star Wars drought.
I kind of feel the same. Like, I'll watch the films. Like, I don't really like. I read if a title to an article catches my interest, I'll read it. Like, I haven't read any of the characters revealed, because I'm like, I'll go watch the movie and watch it then.
Exactly.
You know, type of thing. So people are like, what do you think about the Star Wars cast? I was like, I haven't read it. I like that one dude in Minority Report, so yay.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, I haven't really been going really crazy, but I'm just concerned about is well, Disney said they're going to, like, produce one every so often. My concern is just, like, I'll be like, yeah, Episode 7, awesome! Go watch it. Oh, that was great. Episode 8, oh, yeah, that was awesome. Episode 9, woohoo! And then Episode 10, like, yay, cool, I have something to do this weekend. Then Episode 11, yippee! And then Episode 12, wait, did that come out already? You know, that's what I'm concerned about, is that there'll be too many movies coming out that I'll just eventually lose interest.
I can understand that. I mean, again, if it's a 3 years thing, I think
it might help.
It'll help, but it won't really bother me too much. It's just that if that's what they want to do, fine, really. It's just that, you know, don't turn it into Scary Movie. You know, make it good. Make sure decent. Like, I don't even mean, like, don't make it amazing. Just make sure, like, I would love amazingness, sure, but just make sure it's good. All it has to be is decent pizza. You know, because Star Wars is like pizza. Even when it's not that good, it's still pizza, and that's pretty good. So that's all they have to do is follow that mentality, and they'll be fine. But if it becomes Scary Movie, where it's like, oh, I saw the first Scary Movie. Oh, Scary Movie 2, that was more of the same. I don't care about the rest. You know, as long as it doesn't become that way or become like Saw, where it's like, really? Really, you killed him?
Where he died in the third one, and he's coming back somehow.
Yeah, like, it's like, really? No, you know, and that's all.
I think the worst part about going off of that Saw thing is I sat there and I was like, wait, how are these still going on? And it goes, it turns out he had 17 plans built up beforehand. I was like, wait, so he planned for like 50 years down the line, he planned what was going to happen. He's like, okay, in case there's a corrupt cop, I better rent out this warehouse and have all these things, and I'll just guess what he'll have done in order to make me want to put him in that warehouse. Okay, if there's a movie actor who just did a lot of crack, I better rent out this basement in hopes, and just guess what he did and hope that it's correct. I was just like, what? There's no way this guy still had these planned.
Yeah, no, and the fact that he died, because he clearly dies. Like
he dies.
Like, hardcore dies, and then comes
back.
Like,
you can't come back from it, die.
Yeah, like, he's dead. Like, he had a terminal illness, dead. Like, you're not coming back from that.
Well, spoilers right now if you want to skip. In the third one, he had his throat slit open.
Yeah. Right? I mean,
you know.
Which caused, like, the explosive collar on that girl to trigger, but whatever. You know, it happens. Take one for the team, I guess. And she died clearly in a horrible, horrible explosion of her face, butt, and head. But then he comes back, and I was like, what? No. And I remember...
Wait, he actually physically came back?
I don't know. In one of the later movies after that, you see him again, like, up and about. And it's like, what happened? But I don't know.
His twin brother.
I don't know if it was a flashback scene or whatnot, but it was weird. But
anyone who's been keeping up, inform us.
Yeah, and I just remember this. I was hanging out at the clown's house a while ago, and I forget who else was there, and we were watching the TV. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel, which that means good stuff there.
Yeah.
And there was this show on. There was this movie on, and it was actually one of the later Saws.
Huh.
But looking at it, the acting of the scenes, what was going on, the overall everything, it looked like it belonged as a sci-fi original. It was that bad. It was like, I thought it was a sci-fi original until we saw it was Saw whatever. I was like, really? They have fallen far, and all the scenes that do not include the gruesome deaths. The gruesome deaths, they have good everything, but when it comes to the acting to get there, the filler, if you will, it was atrocious. Oh my god.
And now, moving on to this, we very rarely talk about this, so I think it would be nice to talk about this a little bit, but Warhammer Fantasy has got this awesome-looking model coming its way.
Yeah.
For a character called Nagash.
Yeah, Nagash is kind of a big deal.
Now, what army is he for?
If that's the situation.
If he's a vampire count dude, then I am totally just going to buy the model for whenever I decide to play. Actually, it just says in an Undead Legion's army.
Yeah, he's undead. That's the thing about him. He's not. Okay, he made the Tomb Kings as the Tomb Kings. He was like, he had a black pyramid and everything, and he was eventually cast out of the Tomb Kings, like killed by or like destroyed by numerous circumstances. A Tomb King hero, one of the last surviving living Tomb King people before becoming, as we know, the Tomb Kings. And he was also taken down by a bunch of the Skaven. In fact, that Skaven like red armor and sword thing of awesomeness that they have as a war gear potential, it was what was used to slay him another time. But he basically created the undead of the Tomb Kings He created the undead period. He also created the vampire accounts to kind of get back at the Tomb Kings. Okay, I created this. I was basically trying to do this, mastermind this for me being the ultimate superpower. Tomb Kings got rid of me. I'm doing a horrible job of explaining it, but this is the quick and dirty. And then he went and made the vampire accounts essentially. The vampire accounts are essentially like Tomb Kings Mark II. And that's basically his shtick. So he's both. He's basically undead. Put it to you that way.
Yeah, so if I could actually use him in a vampire count army, I might pick this model up and grab this white dwarf because it'd be cool. He looks awesome.
He does look cool. He is the strongest necromancer of Warhammer Fantasy.
Yep, he is level 5. He is the only caster of his type to be level 5.
Yeah, but rules-wise, yes. And in the fluff, though, I believe he learned his stuff from a dark elf. He tortured the dark elf sorceress and learned everything she knew, and then this went from there in terms of fluff. Yep. So he's he's a big deal. I'm not gonna say he's nasty. The Horus of fantasy, but he's that kind of big deal, and he's still around essentially.
This is nasty. One of his special rules is whenever he successfully casts a summoning spell from the lore of undead, triple the points worth of models that he can summon, including any additional points generated by Rise the Undead counters. In addition, Nagesh treats the summoning spells from the lore of undead as having tripled their usual range.
Yeah, no, he can basically summon and do stuff at triple the range, and if you're gonna bring back, let's say you brought out 3 wounds, it would be 9 wounds.
Yeah,
so he's the undead. He's the undead sorcerer supreme. He is the necromancer. So,
yep.
I mean, he's kind of he is. Like I said, I don't want to say he's Horus because he's not the same type of concept, but he's that type of a big deal in fantasy.
Yeah, he is. And apparently, it's been a while since he's been around.
Yeah, because he was, I think, last killed off by either one of the living Tomb King people or Skaven. By killed off, his essence was poofed, but. He's cool. The model's pretty cool. The fact that they're bringing him back is actually kind of surprising due to the fact of really I don't want to say his overpoweredness, but in his fluff, his overpoweredness. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yep.
All I have to say is Harry the Hammer will probably be able to take care of him.
Who's Harry the Hammer?
Harry the Hammer has the Hammer of Harry. He's this chaos dude who's anti-undead, like super anti-undead. Like undead actually have fear when they're in his presence.
Interesting.
And he has this hammer. He has the Hammer of Harry, which just obliterates undead. So it would be a cool battle. Harry the Hammer with the Hammer of Harry again.
Well, you just Nagesh just summon as all the skeletons and hope they kill him before he gets to them.
Right, but it's just I don't know. It's just funny.
You do the vampire count. You summon a bunch of skeletons, then sit back, drink some tea, and summon some more again when you need to.
Yeah, but he's Harry the Hammer. He'll make them flee in terror. That's the crazy part. That's he has that role on him, and it's just funny because you have Nagesh, suitable fantasy name, pretty epic, epic character, and then you have this chaos dude of anti-undead. What's his name? Harry. All right.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, it's just okay. We have things like Nagesh and other names, I can't think of an elf name without making it sound Eldari, but
an elf name without it sounding Eldari.
Because I can't think of any of the elf character names from it. But you have Imric. Prince Imric, which is a dragon lord guy. You have Prince Imric, the mighty necromancer Nagesh, and the bane of the undead Harry, the Hammer. It's what?
Now I have to go see his model if he has one.
It was a thing run by White Dwarf years back where you could get his model. He has a model. It's not that bad looking.
He's in the Chaos Warriors group?
I don't know if you can buy it anymore, but he had a limited model. He would have been a Chaos guy. But this is
let's see.
This is
so they have Vlich the Curseling.
This is somebody who painted him up a certain way. I think he's more. I don't remember his actual painted up look. I think it's supposed to be red, but
so that is Harry the Hammer.
With the Hammer of Harry, yes, yes, it is
interesting.
So, There you go. But it's an interesting note because, you know, having the gash back, though, would be kind of like having a Primarch wake up.
Yeah.
That's like the level of big dealness it is. So it's interesting.
Now, also, Vulcan is now available to order.
Yes, I've seen his model before, and he's glorious.
Yep, and he is right now the tallest Primarch that you can get. He's as big as Horus is in his Terminator armor. Yes,
well, Vulcan was kind of a big dude. The thing about Vulcan, we never really got a sense of description of his size in terms of fluff and whatnot, but he's always the Salamander's always been kind of bulky. So so that's good. He's also on a gigantic base.
Yes. So. What I was like what's funny is when you read the video to him, the guy who designed him picks his words kind of poorly, because what he means is saying he's the largest Primarch models thus far. He's as big as Horus is in his Terminator armor. But he says it as Vulcan is the largest Primarch. And I'm like, no, he isn't.
Yeah, have you seen Magnus?
I mean, Magnus, he's the largest.
I really do believe Magnus holds the title of largest Primarch because he's a giant.
As one of the Space Wolves described, the ground liquefies with every step he takes.
Yeah, he is huge. Huge.
And surprisingly, this is one of the times where I'm kind of sad that I didn't either know someone who was going to or was able to go to Gen Con, because they were there.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to pick up the Navigator model, because it just looks awesome.
Yeah, the Navigator model is nice. But, you know, if anybody is curious on, like, how big is Magnus really? If you look up Magnus the Red artwork, or if you go to the Warhammer 40k wiki page and go to Magnus' actual page, you scroll down, it's a 1, 2, 3, fourth picture down, it's him standing, standing amongst Terminators. One's behind him, one's in front of him. And the top of the Terminator armor, not counting the plume thing on top of it, only reaches, like, his torso.
Yes. The man is huge.
The man is gigantic.
He is the largest. Like, he looks at the lion and goes, how's the weather down there?
Basically, he's really tall. But he's just, like, Magnus is huge. Like, as much as I want the Thousand Sons to come in one of those books soon, so we can get a Primarch, so we can get his model, I'm curious, yet I'm also hesitant to see what they'll do with Magnus, because he's going to be
expensive. He's going to be the most expensive.
He's going to be pretty
Primarch.
Heavy, and either they're going to give him
have to buy one.
Either they're going to give him a regular base. Well, by that I mean not because all the Primarchs are on gigantically tall bases. Either they're going to put him on a regular size normal base, and he's still going to be the size of them, or he's going to be like the size of a knight with his base and him. It's going to be ridiculous.
He's going to be huge. Like most like you said, most of the Primarchs right now they have a display base that's a Dreadnought base.
Yeah.
And then they have a Terminator stand.
Yeah.
So for him, he's probably going to have like a Terminator stand, a Dreadnought base, and then a Riptide stand.
Yeah, he's probably going to be on a Dreadnought base. You're right.
Yeah, he has to. He's so freaking huge.
He's a big dude.
Now going off the prices right now, the most expensive of the Primarchs is Horus. He is 60 pounds. He's probably going to be a good 70, 80 pounds when he comes out.
Probably. Maybe they won't. It all depends on like if they make
depends
his
on
base,
how big he is.
It also if his base is pretty Spartan. Like, if his base has very little going on, including his display base, it'll probably be a little
That's it. He'll be the only Primarch whose display base is his base.
Yeah. He's a pretty big guy.
That's what it's going to be. It's going to be just a couple of ruins, some dead bodies on a Dreadnought base, and that's it. He can't be removed from it.
No, yeah, he's utterly huge. Not just is he tall, he's thick. He's
wide. He's a giant.
One of his names is the Red Giant. The Red Giant, the Red Cyclops. I mean, he's huge.
he wasn't given psychic powers because of Zenith or all of that. It's because he needed to magically make the doors wider.
Yeah, he needed powers to breathe. He needed psychic abilities to breathe and move.
He just sits there and he goes, it's like he sits there and he just psychically the door bigger, and then he shrinks it when he walks past it.
Like,
because ducking does not help.
It doesn't help when you're that size. And you know what's even crazier? When he becomes a demon prince of Zenith, he has wings.
Yes.
So he's gigantic, but even more so. But
doesn't he also like become a pure warp entity at one point?
He's basically ever shifting.
Yeah. Because in some books, in like some stories, he has to possess dudes in order to exist.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
Some of his things.
He's definitely warp enriched. He's definitely he's definitely fortified like vitamins, but with the warp.
Yes. Which is, in a way, his greatest strength and his greatest weakness.
Yes, but it's just funny because when you hear like, okay, Thousand Sons Legion, psychic, abilities to the nth degree. Their leader, Sorcerer Supreme, second only to the Emperor. You're picturing, it's because, when you first hear that, you go, okay, he's probably really super psychery because he's not that good in close combat. And then you see him, you go, Andre the Giant, why do you have psychic powers?
Yes, that's basically what he is.
Like, you look at him and you go, this is multi-classing to the extreme. This isn't fair.
Yes, he is no different than any other Primarch. He mastered the art of kicking your rear end in combat.
Plus, he can do it with his mind. So,
yes, if he really wants to insult you.
Yeah, but a little bit of, there's fluff about him, about why, the deal he made with warp powers, why he lost his eye and all that. But the coolest fluff about him is he was the only Primarch, because of his super psychic ability, that even when he was in gestation in the Primarch Project Pods, he still psychically communicated with the Emperor and his father. They actually had talks.
Yep.
He's the one, he remembers his father even before and he remembers being sent away. He remembers everything. So it's really cool because he was the first one basically going, "What up, Pops?" And and then he got spirited away.
Yep. And then he was just sitting there going, "Dad's coming for me."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What?"
You just wait till my dad gets here.
And in essence, his legion was the only legion that was prepared for the Emperor's arrival.
Well, his legion was virtually wiped out. But
yes, but I mean, his home planet, forgive me, was the only planet aware that some dude was coming.
Basically, for a fact. Other Primarchs had visions and stuff. Magnus is like, no, he's coming on this day at this time. Have the tea ready. All right.
Yes, because he likes herbal.
Yes, he likes tea, Earl Grey hot. Come on, let's do this.
Oh God, he's not Captain Picard.
But
that's better than Janeway and her coffee.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about Janeway. We don't talk about Janeway. It's not because she's a female. I don't want any feminists to think that. It's because her character was terrible.
Yes, I don't know much about Janeway. I've only watched Generations. I've been meaning to watch the originals to see finally who I think is better, though I think I'm a little skewed because I like Kirk. But I do know that Janeway was supposedly just female Picard. In
a way, but the only problem is they did the story bad. Like the whole series, in my opinion, was weak. Some people really enjoyed it because that's kind of their first introduction to Star Trek and whatnot, which is fine. Yeah. But for me, it was like, oh God. What's this? What do you mean 7 of 9? What do you mean the Borg are now nothing but tissue paper to you? What do you mean this little ship took out 17,000 Borg cubes?
Computer, coffee, hot.
Right, but
get it?
Yeah,
you
get it there. But seriously, the whole Borg thing, because I like the Borg a lot, and then I saw what they did with the Borg, and I'm like, you're ruining the Borg here.
Did you see what they're doing now, trying to bring Attack Wing back into the fray? They introduced more Borg stuff, and they introduced Deep Space Nine.
Nothing bad with that. The problem is the rules are terrible for that game.
They were hoping that the flight system from X-Wing would make up for everything.
See, I'm going to quote the RoboCop movie. Just make him do that. Just take this and make it do that for Star Trek. That's all you have to do.
Just put a man in a machine.
That is a man in a machine. But
That was so good.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
That was a really good reboot.
That was one of the first films where I sat there and I was like, wow, this film isn't hoping you like the original.
Yeah. This film was going to reboot it for everyone.
And what I really liked about it was don't get me wrong, I love the original RoboCop.
So do I.
I feel like when Ed 209 is crying on the stairs, I'm like, oh, just pick him up.
Yeah, just pick the poor guy up. That's not fair.
No, come on. That's you're just being mean.
Hey, that's cheating.
I mean, what I really liked about this new one was they showed him becoming RoboCop.
Yeah.
Like, if there was any problem with the original RoboCop, it was, he's Alex Murphy, he's RoboCop.
Yeah, perfect. No, like, the troubled times of getting used to this.
No issues, okay. It was like, he woke up, he's like, you're a robot, Murphy. Okay, time to do my job. That's what I liked about this one, was like, we saw the process of him becoming RoboCop. And all the little subtle Easter eggs that were in there, like the I won't buy that for $1, the fact that the military guy kind of looked like Kane, and some of the the fact that that they show the original RoboCop skin, and the transforming bit when he gets the headlights, It was done in such a way where it was tributing, not insulting the original.
It was also done in a way that it didn't insist upon the original. It was definitely like, it was done in a way where it's like, you like the original? Fantastic. You can also like this too.
And like I said, like when they changed his color scheme, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh, they're going to make it where that's stupid, make it black because that's cool. But in the film, it actually made sense. He's like, no, we need something people like, something more tactical, sleek. Make them black.
Yeah, no, it was.
And I was like, you know what? Yes, most general populace wouldn't take it tactically seriously unless it was black. Like, it made sense.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, gleaming silver isn't the most practical of colors to be.
No, it is not. But like I said, they did it in such a way where they weren't going, the original was stupid.
Yeah, they also did it in such a way they weren't going like, hey, this is a tribute. Like, this is like legitimate reboot, It wasn't like...
Yeah.
I mean, the only other movie that I think did decent as a reboot in terms of not insisting upon the original and doing stuff was Dredd.
Yes.
It's unfortunate we'll never see another Dredd movie, but...
Supposedly, I'm actually part of it. I signed the petition. The comic group that made the comic has a petition out to make a sequel. And everyone, except for the director, for some odd reason, is on board with a sequel. They asked the girl who was in it. She's like, oh, totally, yeah. Carl Urban has been sitting there going, I am going to make this happen. And the director's the only one who's like, why?
Because it's awesome. That's why.
Well, correction. He wasn't very much like why. He was very much like there's no script, so we can't even go anywhere. And he went with, why does it have to be a movie? Why can't we have a TV show about Dredd?
That would be pretty cool. My only problem with TV show stuff, especially along the lines of something like this, which is futuristic-esque, cyberpunk-esque, that type of feel, is that. Firefly did a good job with the whole future stuff, but by and large, it looks kind of cheesy, the effects and whatnot a little bit.
The only one that I feel did that kind of sci-fi very well was Farscape, and even then they had some issues.
Yeah. I mean, for example, Falling Skies, it's not futuristic, but it's aliens who invaded Earth, and so you have that sci-fi tech there. They did a good job, but you can still tell, but it's a TV show, but it's done well. Yeah. That's the problem with something like Dredd or Star Wars even. Making a TV show about it, you're at like, budget.
Well, speaking of one, I have something I want to just rat on a little bit about the Star Wars thing real quick. But first, the only issue I have with a Dredd movie is, like you said, budget. You don't get as much money for a TV show nowadays. You do get a pretty substantial TV show thing, but since you have to pay the actors... Like a good example in Big Bang Theory now, the three major characters are getting $1 million apiece because they know that it's printing money, so we'll probably see the end of that show real quick.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with 2.5 Men. But you can't get as gory with a TV show. Like that scene in Dredd when the bullet goes through the guy's mouth, you can't get that.
No, you can't.
In TV.
And I'm not like a gore fanatic, but there's certain things that would, like, you can't even really get you can't get much in the way of even like violence actually happening on screen on TV. And yes, you can get gunshots and somebody getting shot, but you can't get like...
You can't get what you've set up.
Yeah, what you set up and what you now would expect from Dredd, you can't get.
Yeah, but going off of that, I watched a clip of Star Wars Rebels.
Rebels!
And I had to stop because I physically... This is sad. This is like probably me, my fanboyism really showing here. I got physically mad at the clip because the Astro Droid talked.
Well, that is just stupid.
It's like, Sohn, tell the guy he's got to watch out. We're getting out of here soon. Aye. Sam says, hurry up. And I'm like, no! Astromechs don't talk!
That's why we have protocol droids. They talk.
They don't... It's like, you don't need them... And one person's like, well, they need to be able to understand. No! They talk to the computer. The only thing that needs to know what the astromech is doing is the frickin' computer.
Yeah.
That's their point.
That and protocol droids, because they can translate. That's the only thing. So you always have a protocol droid around.
I was like, oh, no. And he had these little robot hands so he can emote. I'm like, stop it. Stop it right now.
No, that's just dumb. That is just dumb.
Stephen Blum cannot save this.
No, that's just dumb. And you know what's sad? When you told me the title, Star Wars Rebels, I'm like, this just sounds dumb. It's just, like, that's not a good title. I was like so angry. I was like, no, astromechs don't talk. Yes. Stop it now. And I don't care if it's like 2-syllable sentences. He shouldn't talk. No, it's just beeps and bloops and whistles. That's it.
Yes.
That's all they're allowed.
And the occasional wow.
Well, yeah, of course, clearly. I also gonna know you blew one up. But
yes.
but you know, that's bad. And one thing I want to... I forget, it doesn't have anything to do with Star Wars, but, you know, there was kind of a point where we were saying, well, what's the point? And sometimes the point is just the fact that it's awesome, what we were talking about.
Yes.
And that reminds me of something that, first off, if this vehicle is called Shockwave, it's a jet truck. It's got 3 jet engines on the back of it. It's a Peterbilt. And
okay.
It's called Shockwave. It's been called that since 1984. So if there's ever another Transformers movie, they bring back Shockwave, make it that thing. But because it's called Shockwave and it's awesome. But it's got 3 Pratt & Whitney jet engines on it, basically. It makes 36,000 horsepower. It has a top speed of 376 miles per hour. It's the fastest big truck around. But, you know, when you do a quarter mile with it on a drag strip, which it does for shows and for fun, it's not the fastest thing out there. So people go, what's the point? And you go, the point is that we can do it and it's awesome. So, like, I've seen this thing, like, in person. And when it gets going, it's like Wrath of God incoming. It's like it's just really cool. So sometimes, like, I bring that up because you can never underestimate the power of the cool factor. Because cool factor is why you see these stupid, ridiculous things, because they're awesome, even if they're impractical.
And speaking of cool factor, Expendables 3 is out.
Yes, it is. Gotta
go see that.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. I saw the Riff Track theatrical screening of Godzilla 1998 edition. And it was glorious to see that movie get ripped a new one.
That movie is I'm so neutral with that movie. It's not even funny.
It's like one great part was the beginning. He goes, and spoilers here, folks. In a film called Godzilla will not actually be appearing. And then Tom Servo goes, and if you ask some of the fans, he actually doesn't. No, and according to some fans, he doesn't. And then when they try the fish trick again, and Godzilla comes out and he's looking at the fish in Central Park, he goes, I don't know, guys. Broderick's not here to make a fish joke. It just doesn't feel right to come out.
Yeah, but that's
and one line that touched me very well was there's a scene where they have a radar piece and it says target destroyed, and they go, hey, Walmart's dreams come true.
Show us on the doll where this line touched you.
In the heart.
Yeah.
We now return to Touched by an Angel. Okay, Ginny, where did the angel touch you? Right here? Oh, come on! Who are you gonna believe? I have a frickin' halo, for crying out loud!
Exactly. Yep.
Which, I don't know if... excuse me, I don't know if you heard, but the season premiere of Family Guy will take Family Guy meeting The Simpsons.
I heard about that.
I'm just glad that they got the whole cast and the animators to work on this project.
It's a cool thing, a feat. I don't want to say feat as in like it was so hard to do, but like it's a cool thing that they did that, of course. But it's just like it's the same way I feel about the Simpsons movie. You guys are like 10 years too late, you know? like same thing with this. Like Family Guy, I'm not saying Family Guy, I mean Family Guy's definitely petered out in comparison to when it first came around. So like
for me it's gotten better as it's gone on, but I haven't seen the latest season, which I heard is when it starts getting bad.
That's my point. Like I feel like you're in the case of doing a Simpsons Family Guy meetup like this type of deal, you're 5 years too late in this regard. Like the Simpsons movie was like 10 years too late. Like and then it's like another 5 years you have to make like an actual Family Guy movie, not like Blue Harvest, which was awesome, but like an actual Family Guy movie. It'd be like you guys are 10 years too late again.
They actually addressed that issue. Seth said, right now they said, well, Seth's busy making Ted 2, so we're not going to see it for a while. And Seth has said he'll make a movie when he feels that the show has gone to the point where the only natural step for the show that he feels is to make a film. So as of right now, he feels the show hasn't evolved to the point where it needs to do a movie.
AKA, it hasn't worn out its welcome on a TV.
Yep.
But like, it's just.
But I've heard that that the latest season with the death of Brian and all that kind of started killing the show.
Yeah, but it's just I feel like with these shows. Like, it's a little late, guys. Like, you know, I'm sure, if anything, what it's going to do is it's going to make the ratings shoot up sky high for that.
Yeah.
But it's like, if that's the only thing to come out of it, which is basically going to be, I'm not making sense of it, I know, but it's just, they should have done this 5 years ago.
The intro, I think, is the greatest, because it's them staring at a sign, and they go, what's this? Oh, here's a sign. What town are we in? And it pans behind them, and you see Springfield says, welcome to Springfield, and the Simpsons theme plays. And then Brian goes, looks like we're at a town called Springfield. And Stewie goes, Springfield? What state? And Brian goes, I don't think we're legally allowed to say.
It's just true enough. Fair enough with that, but it's just like, I don't know. I've been over the Simpsons for a while now. Like I grew up
I've been over them for a while
like,
too.
When I was in middle school is when I was done with the Simpsons. That was a while ago. Like just for me, because Simpsons slumped out around that time.
I felt for me, I think the issue for me was Simpsons had a very lot of practical humor. And I felt that they started degrading into stupid slapstick.
Yeah.
And so I stopped watching. Then I gave the movie a try, and that's when I was like, wow, they really have jumped completely far off. And I mean, the biggest example is the jetpack scene in the film. Not spoiling anything for anybody, so don't worry. But at one point, Homer is trying to get into this dome, okay? And he breaks into a shed, and he goes, uh-huh! And they cut to a jetpack. So you're like, okay, he's going to put on the jetpack and he's going to fly into the air and hit his head and, some funny stuff. What would happen? But he then goes and he pushes the jetpack aside and grabs a tub of super glue and pours it on his hands and goes, time to get serious! And then there's jokes with his hands being covered in super glue. And I was like, that's just dumb.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know people who really enjoyed the movie, but to me, I saw it and I was just like, Simpsons had something going on when I was younger. Like you said, it wasn't so much slapstick. It was other stuff, more practical things.
It was practical humor. There was a little bit of slapstick, but to the degree.
It was like a cartoon version of, not literally, but in terms of the humor way it went, it was like a cartoon version of Married with Children.
Indeed, I will agree with that.
In terms of humor. Like, they weren't slapstick humor. It was practical, like, real-life humor. Like, it's a family.
There was occasionally a slapsticky moment, but it wasn't ever over the top.
It wasn't like, Al Bundy hits his hand with a hammer again type of deal.
Like it wasn't like that one episode where they used motorcycles as swords.
Yeah.
Yes, there is an episode where Homer grabs a motorcycle and a biker grabs his, and they start dueling like they're wielding swords.
Right, but like back when I was a kid growing up watching, I still love Married with Children. I think it's a great show that people I think look at it and go, it's so sexist and this, but not. It's really a good show. But
oh, good.
It really is. And Simpsons was along that lines as an animated cartoon, and then it got slapsticky a little bit, and especially then you had when Family Guy came out and Family Guy was getting really popular. Simpsons copied Family Guy.
Yeah,
for a good amount of stuff. I'm saying it. I'm throwing it on the gauntlet. Bring it. That's what happened. And you kind of see that in the movies. Because the whole let's get serious thing, that would have been a Peter Griffin thing for sure.
Yeah,
100% Peter Griffin would have done that, and you would have expected it out of Peter Griffin. So,
yes.
I mean, I've been done with Simpsons for so long that whenever, and it's funny because my circle of friends that have been really big Simpsons fans, they shrunk in terms of talking about The Simpsons. Not only a couple do that I know, but really it's not so much like, oh man, The Simpsons was great. It's like, yeah, so this is really fun with The Simpsons. And what they reference is usually really old Simpsons episodes.
Yeah.
So that's a problem when people aren't really referencing your new material. Like,
yep.
And I don't.
You know something that's funny, just going off of, I remember the episode where Sideshow Bob met his brother Cecil.
Uh-huh.
I never realized that Cecil was voiced by David Hyde Pierce, who played Kelsey Grammer's brother in Frasier.
Oh, okay.
And so I always got a kick out of that. It makes that scene even more humorous to me now that I realize that they're playing basically the same characters again. But in The Simpsons, and that was the whole joke about it.
Right. Which is good. But yeah, no, I just, like, the whole, like, every time I see something like, oh, Simpsons versus this, or Simpsons in this, I'm like, Simpsons is still alive? Why is it still alive? Just let it die. Oh my God.
It should just live and let live and just peter off.
Yeah, it should just be like, oh, reruns, cool. That's what it should be. Like,
yes.
That's how it should go.
And supposedly Futurama's going to make a cameo in a Simpsons episode. I don't know how, but they are. Yeah,
well, sure, fine, we'll go with it. That's why I've always preferred Married with Children.
Yes,
and it was so good. It was so 90s. If you ask, this is one of those shows though. If you ask me what's good about it, it's blue collar humor. It's blue collar kind of show watching material where it's like the average man show, but it's not what we got today, which is just gratuitous, either like sex appeal or stupidness. It was actually pretty intelligent what it was doing. Yep. It was showing you a modern guy with his family just trying to make ends meet and doing stuff with neighbors that he kind of hates but doesn't hate, and just wanting to do his thing. And it shows it happening, and it wasn't. It's not like today where you have like, oh, let's look at stuff. Everybody's trying to be Kim Kardashian, who's a woman. That reminds me. The '90s, it was a good example because it used Married with Children. Like in the '90s, showing teenagers who are the teenage women who are trying to dress like slutty, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? It shows them that, and you look at that, and then you look at. Then it shows a different show, and like this is teenagers who are just trying to be normal, nice teenagers. It shows them dressed with less clothing than the people who are trying to be all like slutty on Married with Children. Yeah. It's like that's the difference there. It's still it was.
No, what was her name? Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly. Well, Kelly, that was I don't know what her actual name is.
Yeah, but Kelly, the character, was she was probably one of the more sluttier characters we've seen on TV, but the most clothed.
Oh yeah, most clothed, and. While portraying...
Like, a lot of Disney characters on, like, kids shows dress in less.
Exactly, which is a problem.
Like, there's a couple of episodes where you see them walking around in bikinis.
Which is,
It's like, okay, when we were growing up, you would never see a kid 15 or younger wearing a bikini on TV.
No, you wouldn't. And also, the thing with Kelly, the character in Married with Children, is she was definitely, the sluttier character of the show, for sure. But you don't see gratuitous acts. Like
you see a boy every so often, and her brother makes a comment.
Yeah, and his father always threatens the boy, and that's about it. But you don't you have shows today, not kids show clearly, but you have shows along the same let's say age bracket that Married with Children was for, He got them like, it's like we're in the club and they're making out hardcore, and it's like that's you're just making everything look bad. Like it's not even like good. It's like it's kind of awkward for everybody involved in the making of the show. So it's like great, but I really liked. And the thing with Married with Children, what I liked about it was one episode when his car breaks down in like the traffic jam or whatever, and it gets towed to a gas station. Back when gas stations actually had people who worked on cars.
Yeah.
But, and something happens and he goes, I gotta go back to the car, and the Peggy makes a mark. Oh, you're just trying to get like your like Cannes magazine, whatever they called their Playboy. And he goes and pops the trunk and he pulls out the magazine and he goes, typical guy. But then he opens it up. In the middle is a picture of his family, and that's what he.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he opens it up and he looks at it, and the picture of the family, because it's still there, and he closes it up and he takes it with him and he closes the trunk, the whole thing. And it's like, you see, he cares about his family as much as he acts like he doesn't. And that's what I really liked about the show, is that one episode really made me like the show a lot more. So that was cool, but it shows you how much stuff has changed from the 90s to today, like payphones and house phones being corded, and gas stations where they actually did stuff, and actual shoe salesmen. And
just in general, like TV back then, shows sadly, I love watching Golden Girls episodes. I think that show was great.
I remember that show. I remember
Betty White, B. Arthur, Estelle Getty.
I watched that too. I grew up with it. My mom watched it, so I watched it.
Oh, my mom watched it. I just sit down and watch it. It's again, like, they had the one character that was sleeping around, but you never really saw the guy she was sleeping with. And it was always just like a witty one-liner that wasn't, terrible. It kept it tasteful.
Yeah,
when they did stuff like that.
That show and Married with Children were the only real two shows that whenever they came on, based on a theme song, I knew what was on.
Yep.
So, like every other show, even the shows I watched, didn't have that distinctive a theme song in the beginning.
And also, B. Arthur today, I will be super sad when she goes.
Oh yeah.
I was sad when the other cast members went. I'm going to be sad when B. Arthur goes. Oh yeah. Especially like her latest. Did you see one of her later commercials that she's done? It's great. She sits and goes, I forget what she's advertising, but she goes, "Hi, I'm Betty. I'm TV show's Betty White. And a lot of people are calling me a cougar. And that's just wrong. I'm not a cougar at all. I'm not dating a 26-year-old. I married him."
That's good. I like that.
And you're just like, that is so her. That's actually, she's one of the reasons why my mom went to see Lake Placid.
Gotcha, okay.
Was because she was in it.
Lake Placid?
That's the one with the giant alligator.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see that one. But,
we only saw that because Betty White was in it.
Nice.
And the Snickers commercial.
Oh, the Snickers commercial was great.
Great.
Yeah, it was great.
Dude, you're playing like Betty White out there. That's not what your girlfriend said last night. You're like, holy crap, she did not just say that.
Yeah, that was great. But, I don't know, yes, we grew up in that era, so that's probably why we're biased, but 90s shows have a certain, I'm not even going to say appeal, I'm going to use a word like veneer. It's a veneer, because really that's all it is. It's not, they weren't that good, but,
no. But no, I have all of the old cartoon shows that we used to watch, like the Disney afternoon lineup. Those shows weren't that great, but they were enjoyable.
Yeah, no, they were. Like
Darkwing Duck.
Oh, let's get dangerous. All right.
Hell, when I bought the volume 1, I think it was, because after that show they stopped putting the pilot on the first volume of the shows.
Oh.
And when that show when the theme song started playing and they cut to the first time that he says, "Let's get dangerous" in the theme, I got goosebumps.
Nice. Oh,
because I was like, oh, yes.
You know what I just remember, because I saw this a month or two ago? Married with Children. The newspaper he's reading in Married with Children is the same newspaper he reads in the show he's in now. It's the exact.
Really?
It's the exact same one with the same articles on it and everything. I saw a still capture of it. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's a cool Easter egg.
That's awesome.
But cool Easter egg for that. But it's just, like you said, like there's certain things that give you goosebumps, so you look back and you watch on it, and maybe it's because obviously that's when I grew up, but I'm looking at just the way the caliber of shows. Even though like I'm not saying Married with Children or Darkwing Duck is super high caliber show, but the way they were done smartly. I look at stuff done today that's being billed to the same like audience, and it's just I don't see the quality or the long lastingness in it at all.
The only cartoon show that I've seen right now in America, I'm going to put that out there here because I know anime is a big thing.
Yeah.
In America, the only show that I found that has had the same caliber of quality is Avatar.
All right.
Like, that show there, like, I watch back, I'm like, you know what? This has the same amount of class and kiddiness and everything that made the old shows good as much. Like, it has that same level of it.
Gotcha.
But that's so far the only show that I've seen, in my opinion, that I feel has essentially had the same amount of attention, like when Inspector Gadget or Looney Tunes or even Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy and all those shows would go on, I would stop what I was doing and watch.
Oh yeah, same here. And
this is the like Legend of Korra and Avatar is one of the few cartoon shows where if it flips on, I stop and I watch.
Gotcha. And like to be honest, things like Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life were dark. They were dark, and they were littered with innuendos you didn't get as a kid that you get now. And you go, wow, how did that make it as a kid's show?
To be honest, I didn't catch the whole Filbert's wife was sleeping around until the clown pointed it out. Because, like, for anyone who's watched that show and hasn't watched, if you watch, every time she's on the phone, there's someone in the background getting dressed. And she's always in a room of some sort. She's always in, like, a bedroom or an office, someplace with a flat surface. and someone is sitting on that flat surface putting on their socks.
Yeah.
So think about that for a while. And one of her children is Heifer.
Yep. Now, also, like, Rocko...
Also,
Rocko was a phone sex operator in one of the episodes.
At one point, he became in one episode when he was looking for jobs. Yes, oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
But not even that,
Rocko, this is Big Head.
Yes, that was fantastic. But not even that, the fact that was on a cartoon show on, what, Nick or something like that? Nickelodeon. For kids, where it shows he's clearly a phone sex operator, and there's a thing, like a bulletin saying, like, the 3 things you should do as a phone sex operator, and you're like, how did that would be left on the cutting room floor in any cartoon show these days.
Well, to what they, like, there's a guy called the Nostalgia Critic, and he actually got to interview the one of the creators of Animaniacs, the voice of Slappy Squirrel, and the voice of Skippy Squirrel, who is the son of the lead producer of the show. And they were talking if you haven't watched that episode, because you learn a lot of cool things about Animaniacs. But he brings, and like a good example is scenes where Skippy Squirrel is laughing. He was also, the kid who played Skippy was also Plucky Duck.
Okay.
Baby Plucky. Water go down the hole, that was him. Which he gets him to do in the video. It's great.
Nice.
He talks like scenes where he's laughing. Some of those scenes where his dad snuck into the recording booth and just started tickling him because he didn't like how he was laughing. But they got up. He asks them about the fingerprints joke. Set up for anyone who doesn't know. Yakko goes, all right, guys, it's time to look for clues. Spread out and search for prints. And Dot goes, I found Prince, and she's holding Prince in her arms. And Yakko goes, no, fingerprints. And then Prince looks at her and gives her this big, like, hey smile. And she goes, I don't think so, and throws him out a window. And he sits there and he goes, how did you guys get that joke in? And they go, we honestly don't know. Someone at the Public Standard Services and Practices was not doing their job that day. But they then explain that what you did, and it's true, is they make, say if they want a joke, like the phone sex joke for Rocko's Modern Life. They made that joke. They knew that joke wasn't going to get passed. so they make another worse joke than that one.
Oh, yeah.
And they fight as hard as they can for that horrible joke to get in. And eventually they give up and go, fine, well, can we use this joke? And the service guys will be like, yes, fine, whatever. Just stop asking about the other joke.
Yeah, that is a common clever tactic to go about and utilize. But, you know, thinking about what we're talking about, you know, when we were kids renting video games and whatnot, they didn't have ratings on them.
Yep.
Like, I actually have with me my original Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis thing, and it doesn't have any, like, ratings on it at all. Not that it matters, because it's Sonic, but looking at ratings, because, you know, movies have had them for a while, I've always found the ratings seem to be getting weirder and weirder in terms of what they are representing. Like, I think people will say, okay, what type of show is this? All right, let's throw a bunch of darts at a wall full of words so we can put together what the rating means. Like, one of them, like a PG-13 rating for intense sci-fi action. What qualifies intense action? Like, if it's just sci-fi action, is that PG? Like is the intense make it the PG-13? Like, what's with all these little descriptors for words?
And it also shows, like, if you look at older movies, like, let's look at Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what that was rated when it first came out?
Is that R?
PG.
Okay.
That was PG, and that movie swore like a mofo.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is PG. There's nudity in the first 5 minutes. Like, Howard looks at a centerfold Playboy, and he bursts through a wall with a girl in a tub with her boobs fully exposed. Yeah,
no, Spaceballs is PG. But then you have some old movies that really weren't that bad that are like R.
Yes.
You go, what? Why is this R and this G or PG? Like, you know, it's like, what? There's a miscommunication here. But also, when you look at the rating, it's like, what is it? It's an action, adventure, comedy, whatever. Or like, it's rated R for nudity and violence. Now today, it's like, gratuitous sexual innuendo is what the rating is. And you go, what?
Now, one thing, speaking of that, and I'm just putting this out there just because I just feel like it, because why not? The movie 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, God.
Do we know what that's rated?
I have no idea.
Because if it's not NC-17, it's doing it wrong.
Yeah, not as a fan of it at all.
Not as a fan, just going, knowing what that movie entails, if it's not NC-17, it's not doing it right.
It's not. It's well, I'm looking up. It's not yet rated, it looks like.
Let's see. Yep. Oh, and surprisingly, another weird random thing. It is. You remember Saved by the Bell?
Yeah.
There's an untold story written by the guy who played Screech, and it's funny is he says everyone, excluding him, were partaking in orgies off set and doing drugs. I was like, really? Everyone but you? You were the beacon of Christian faith and beliefs in this stew of Satanism? Bullcrap.
Yeah, right. You're this beacon of purity.
And you happen to be you just happen to be the author. Wow. I could totally believe that you did not partake in this.
Yeah, there's that.
And with that, we are way out of time.
Oh, yeah, we're way out of time, but, you know, this is what happens when you get us talking about 90s shows, which I'm going to say are superior to your shows nowadays.
Yes. And what happens when I forget to post the podcasts weekly?
Yes.
Because you notice when I'm posting them weekly, they're like hour long. But if I accidentally forget to put, I forgot to put up, I put 2 weeks ago this week, and I haven't put up last week's yet. Now we're an hour and a half.
Yes, but we're gonna let's landslide them. Let's put up last week's and this one like in a 1-2 punch.
Yes.
Take that, everybody, and hopefully you'll enjoy
everybody
it.
else.
And then you'll have questions and comments and stuff you want to put on things.
Yes.
But,
and I hope whoever, the gentleman, I don't have your screen name on right now, but you recently subscribed, you recently asked a question on the first episode of Touching Base. I hope you got my response to that. And if you haven't, brief synopsis, yes, you can still play Sisters of Battle. They are still a army faction you can play. You just have to get the digital codex, the Adeptus Sororitas. Just be mindful, it is expensive to play them, because I think they're the only model that still has pewter models.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. So yes, you heard it here first. We answer your questions.
If you didn't read my response before.
Exactly.
So, I guess, give us your input on what you think about Matt Ward leaving, Nagesh appearing. Do you think it would be cool if we had spaceships of the Primarch flagships, even as, like, limited release stuff? What's your take on TV shows today? Do you think Simpsons should just end?
Yes.
And,
no thanking. Everybody believes it. I don't care.
And do you also think that it's a good thing that we have multiple writers for fluff on different things? And should the Black Library kick it up a notch and move forward with the Horus Heresy series?
Yes, Emerald. Bam! Kick it up a notch. So yes,
Bam!
a lot of stuff to cover. Write on what you want in the comments, and if you're a fan of Married Children, you're a good person.
And for those who have been patiently waiting for some stuff about the Doran Poor stuff, you won't have much longer to wait. So keep your eyes open on this channel for more. Ooh, spooky mystery. What am I talking about? We have to look at our playlists now. Ooh.
So yes, now that we just lost subscribers.
Yes, or had them sit there going, what?
Or had them going, just end it already. We shall end it.
So, thank you all for listening. I almost said watching.
Well, you can watch too, but you're not going to see anything change.
Yes. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
James the Wildcard.
Saying take care.
Peace.